And welcome back, everyone. Welcome back. Ooh, hope you enjoyed that brutal OST as we have returned with our next matchup with the winners match of Group C. Here we go. The return of a legend from Poland, from just StarCraft in general. The return of Nerchio. It's been a long time coming here. Nerchio versus Spirit. We have the old legend of the Polish scene up against the current reigning best player in Poland as well. Spirit, he was actually last year's last House Open, or the House SC2 Circuits champion, did have a dominant performance over a laser last year. Can Nerchio succeed where a laser failed? Best of luck. Best of luck. And sporting in the bottom right hand corner of Golden Aura, we have our Polish Terran. Polish Terran players. It looks like we do have a bit of a technical issue here. Just going to be fixing some things up before we do get into game number one. Poland, Kuro, do we know what is this? What's up? What's wrong?
So, update. Spirit said it would be nice to have sound.
Oh. So it looks like Spirit may have some audio issues, and we'll quickly sort that out. So we'll just be waiting for that to be cleared up. But again, once the issues are resolved, we'll be diving right back into our next series here. Nerchio versus Spirit. Oh my god, again, I cannot wait to get a read on what's going on and get a read on Nerchio specifically to see kind of what his skill level is at. Even if it's good, even if he's up there when it comes to the GMs, I mean, Spirit is still the best player in Poland, or at least the best Terran in Poland. And we'll see as we are loading back in. And in the top right-hand corner, bottom right-hand corner, we have, representing his new team, Na'Vi, the Polish Terran Tyrant. It is Spirit. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the returning legend of old. We have the red Zerg player. It is Nerchio. It's been far too long here. Again, I remember watching Nerchio back in the day, back in the early Heart of the Swarm era. Been many years since then, and many years later, we're back. He is back, and he's up against, again, one of the best in all of Poland, one of the best Terrans in all of Europe. He is top 3, arguably top 2, alongside Clem, alongside the Hero Marine in Europe. Oh boy. So we'll see if Nerchio can make some magic happen and cause an upset. For now, Hatch Gas Pool. Hatch Gas Pool opener here out of Nerchio. Everything looking normal, everything looking standard. We are loading into Golden Aura. Again, a short rush distance by ground, but a very congested map. We've spoken about this map before, about how your 3-base and even 4-base setup can be very well fortified, very well defended, and we have seen a lot of late game on Golden Aura. What I will say, though, even though we have seen a lot of late game and a lot of split map scenarios, is that typically in both ZvT and ZvP, the Zerg players should have map control. They should have map control, and they should make it just a terrible task or a difficult task for the Terran player to expend and take a 5th base, either here towards the south or here towards the north, and the Zerg typically takes these fringe bases as their own. Typically, like if things are going back and forth and if the flow is standard between the Terran and Zerg. But again, Spirit is coming in as a heavy favorite, and I'm curious to see how he does approach this. Now, Spirit, he's known for economic and greed play. Like, he's known for being a very economic pro gamer. That is true. But if you remember, the last time that we casted Spirit versus a laser in the House SC2 circuit, we saw Spirit actually pop off and flex on a laser in a way that we haven't seen many times before. We saw Spirit play mech, we saw him go for 2-port BC, we saw him cheese and proxy. He did anything and everything under the sun against a laser with success as well. It wasn't just macro play at a Spirit, but he did kind of have a little bit of fun with it as well. So that just shows us the kind of wide breadth of play that Spirit has available to him. Just doesn't have to play macro, he can also be hyper aggressive. Speaking of, that's what's happening here. 1-1-1. We have a 1-1-1 opener out of Spirit. This is not normal. This is not what we should be expecting. This is going to be a very aggressive start here from Spirit. And here we go. The Cyclones are soon to arrive. Get a very aggressive build. Third base is heavily delayed. We may just skip the third. This could even be the beginning of a 2-base all-in. So a very aggressive start here out of Spirit. Meanwhile, across the map, the Reaper is going to be dancing with the units. We do get eyes on the would-be third base, and we're keeping the attention of Nerchio back at home. Attention is back at home. Cyclone production still underway. Nerchio has no idea. So far, link speed has kicked in, and we can shut down this Reaper. Spirit being so annoying with, oh my god. But finally, the Reaper does go down as we are rushing into a very fast Evo chamber. Okay, both players are popping up in their own way. We have Nerchio rushing into an Evo chamber, into, I imagine, +1 melee, could be +1 carapace for a Link Flood. Behind this, though, the 1-1-1. Ooh. Do you see what I see? I see a factory that is not making anything. This looks like a 1-1-1 into mech. Oh boy. Cyclones have been revealed. The Overlord are going to be shut down. They're going to try to supply block Nerchio. And again, at least we're aware of the composition. There it is. We have +1 carapace on the way, and we have a Roach Warren in production. Now, +1 carapace is an odd one. Carapace upgrades don't actually help too much against mech compositions just because of the amount of damage output they have. So we'll see how this all comes together. Meanwhile, Rax is back to building some production buildings, to building some add-ons. Tech Lab is on the way. This can still be bio, by the way. We started off with Hellion Cyclone, and we do have map control. We do push across the map. We try to get on top of the Queen, but the Lings, they come in for us around. Did we dive too far? Were we too greedy? Good control here so far out of Nerchio. Stutter stepping forward, catches 2 Hellions and catches a Cyclone. Very nicely done here by Nerchio. Very nice move so far. And we will soon hit that +1 carapace timing. We have 20 Lings in production. Stim is on the way. Thankfully, it is going to be bio. We have seen Spirit play mech before, but not here, not in game 1. Let's go. It is going to be bio play. At the same time, though, he's still applying a lot of pressure to this third base location, dipping on forward. The Spore is done. The Banshee is going to be forced back. Only 3 drones go down so far, and we overextend. We dive into the mineral line, and everything's going to be shut down. The Hellions and the Cyclones for 5 workers. Not the best trade here for Spirit. If this was only Hellions, I would think this is okay. But that was Cyclones as well. 2 Cyclones and 6 Hellions for only 5 workers. And now we have map control. Lings, they go for a big counterattack. The wall is a wall. Spirit is looking solid. Now, Nerchio hasn't seen the main base. Remember, he went roaches. You don't throw down a Roach Warren unless you believe it is going to be mech. +1 carapace is about to finish up. I was going to say that if Nerchio did go a little bit further, he would have seen both eBays. Even seeing one eBay here at the natural is a bit of a tell that it could be bio. Doesn't have confirmation, but he's got pieces of the puzzle. Meanwhile, behind this, third base is now being taken. We're getting into a 5-rack setup here on 3 bases. Tank production commencing, and we are going into Spire Tech and +1 melee. So this Roach Warren was for safety in case it was mech, but we know it's not. We have correctly identified it is not going to be mech. We are not investing into Roach speed. We're not investing into +1 range. We are investing into Lingbane Muta. Lingbane Muta on the way here for Nerchio. At the same time, Banshee does dip in. We do get 3 drone kills. Oh, we've got 3 workers, but it looks like we do take down a Queen. Queen does fall. We're going to get even more workers here in the main base. We deny mining at the gas, which is that much more important because we are playing Muta. Gases are so paramount here for Nerchio. Taking all 6 gases, taking a 4th base as well. Transitioning into Lingbane Muta. Spirit still has yet to scout. He hasn't seen the tech, doesn't really know what Nerchio is up to, not yet. He hasn't seen the additional gases, so he cannot piece this together as he's still building up a bio army. And the Lings will confirm. Big scout from Nerchio. He does confirm the tank production as well as the Marines. Nerchio is now aware fully of the bio. Now these mutas, obviously they cannot engage with the Marine army in a head-to-head fight. Spirit will come out on top, but Nerchio can of course bypass the bio army and get into a mineral line and wreak havoc in the economy. Here we go. As Spirit is going to be looking to moving out with a double drop. Meanwhile, Nerchio, he's getting his 5th base up and running. Creep is spreading. So far, he's not looking too bad here. His 4th base still not fully operational. Just now finishing, just as Spirit moves in with his double drop. At the same time, though, here come the mutas. Oh, Spirit, he is going to be respawning here, stepping back into his main base. The turret is still on the way. And we do manage to get a couple of SCVs. We have 2, 3, 4 SCVs go down and some Marines. too bad. Get a 5th and a 6th SCV so far. Not a single Muta has fallen, but they're getting low. They are getting quite low here. But again, really crisp micro out of Nerchio. He doesn't lose a single Mutalisk. We'll get the hell out of there. We have more Mutas on the way. We're investing into +1 range. We are still committed to Ling Bane Muta. Again, a composition that you don't get to see too often against Bio. It's usually Ling Bane into Hydra, or just Ling Bane into Ultra, or just Roach Ravager play. Mutas have fallen off, but I appreciate that Nerchio is embracing the Mutas. Not the first time today. If you remember, Nerchio also went Mass Muta in the free-for-all. I mean, this was the composition back in the day. As here we go, we dive on top of the tanks. First tank going to be going down. We do have the second and third tank targeted as well by the Mutas. The melees we crash on in. We're pushing towards the mineral line. Marines, they do shave off some of those Mutas though, but we do bust in and SCVs are going down. 11 workers fall. A good amount of damage dealt to the economy, but what about the army? We are triggering a massive counterattack and Spirit is ahead in army supply. Nerchio is in trouble. He is in trouble right now because, again, the rush distance by ground is short. It's a short rush distance. Counterattacks don't take long at all to move out across the map. And Spirit is pushing, and Nerchio needs time. He needs time to rebuild, to remax. He's up against the wall right now. As Spirit is pushing onto Creep. Is going to be threatening this 4th base. It's okay, we do have a backup base already up and running. So Nerchio may lose the hatchery, but he's still on 4 bases here as he's getting ready to engage. Mutas, they do dip in. Ooh, Queens are going to be knocked down. Nerchio still just rebuilding, remaxing. Still just building up his Ling Bane army. But Spirit, he's up 30, almost 40 army supply. We cannot engage. Not with this. Not into 4 tanks. The best chance here for Nerchio is to maybe catch out some reinforcements. As we mentioned, he does get a Marine. Does try to catch whatever he can, but here we go. The tanks, they keep on pushing. Spirit doesn't turn back around. He kills the base and he wants more. Nerchio is going to try to collapse on this. He's going to try, but the spread is too good. The split is too good, and Spirit will clean up the Ling Bane. GG gets called. There's not enough on the ground, and Spirit will take game number 1. GG. GG, well played against Spirit. Looking strong there. The Mutas were dealing some damage, that is true. The Muta harass was not bad whatsoever from Nerchio, but the Ling Bane push towards the 3rd base was too much. That was a big overextension from Nerchio. He lost most of his Ling Bane. He lost a lot of momentum supply-wise. Sure, he killed workers. Sure, he got ahead in the economy, but it didn't matter if he couldn't deal with the army. And Nerchio, as a result, was left with very little to work with, and Spirit just pushed out across the map and snowballed out of control. Very solid push there out of Spirit, and we'll see if Nerchio can bounce back. Again, this wasn't a bad game. We have seen a lot of back and forth, or we've seen a lot of the older players featured tonight. I do think that Nerchio feels the most informed so far. We casted Paranoid earlier, we casted Pal earlier as well as Dana, and it does feel like Nerchio, he's the most, again, in form for the time being, but he's still up against Spirit. That's the problem here. Still up against a terrifying opponent. So we'll see where this does take us as we get ready for game numero 2 on hard lead. Game number 2 here on hard lead. Here we go. And Hardlead's going to be an interesting one. A lot of aggressive styles can be very successful on this map. And that works from both ends, from both Nerchio and Spirit, from both the Terran and the Zerg. Here we go. I mean, ideally, I would love to see an ace match. I'd love to see Nerchio coming back into form, but that's a lot to ask. That's a lot to ask to a player that, again, has been retired for many years and only recently coming back just as a more casual endeavor. It's great to see him nonetheless, though. I do appreciate it. Great to see Nerchio around again. And I love that he's mellowed out as well. I was talking about this earlier, like during the break, but Nerchio back in the day, he was known for having a bit of an attitude. I wouldn't say on the level of Idra, but like, you know, similar-ish. But likewise, similar to Idra, if you've been watching some of the more recent like Brood War events and like these more get-togethers, Idra's very chill nowadays and very much so getting along with everyone else like in these big StarCraft get-togethers and gatherings. Great to see. Likewise, from this player here, spawning in the bottom right hand corner of Hardlead, we have our blue Zerg player, a returning legend. It is Nerchio. And spawning in the top left-hand corner, we have his opponent. We have the Polish Terran player. We have the best Terran in all of Poland representing his new team, Na'Vi. It is Spirit. Here we go. And again, we haven't been able to cast Spirit as often as we used to just because, you know, he did leave Sidestorm Gaming, so he isn't featured on a weekly basis in WTL like he once was. Regardless, so it's great to see that his talent has been identified by some of the other bigger esports teams out there, even outside of just StarCraft. I do think that Spirit is a very valuable pickup for Na'Vi, especially leading into Gamers 8 in a couple of months later on down the line. I do think that he is a valuable pickup, and yeah, he is our reigning House SC2 Circuit champion. He is our reigning champion. Can he win 2 major House events back to back? Can he win the House events back to back? That is the question as we do enter a new era, a new league, a new House Galactic Battle instead. I'm ready for it. For now, CC. I was going to be going for a Rack Expand. Part of me was like, yo, CC first? Not quite, not quite. Rack Expand here at a Spirit standard opener. Back at home, Nerchio going for a Hatch gas pool as well. Now, when it comes to hard lead, again, the rush distance by ground is very short. It's very short, and it gets even shorter if you knock down these rocks. As a result, we have seen a lot of like Roach Ravager timings and Roach Ravager based all-ins. Likewise, we've seen some Ling Queen all-ins as well, like Ling Queen Nidus. Can work quite well, especially if the Terran player is a little bit too greedy. The problem is that I don't know how many cheese builds Nerchio has tried out. Again, he hasn't been back that long, and he hasn't put in as many hours as he once did, so I don't really know how many builds and how many playstyles he has that he's comfortable with at the moment. I mentioned before that he went mutas in the FFA. He went mutas in game 1. Does that mean mutas in game 2? As we are going for a 3rd CC before Starport, very economic opener out of Spirit. Very economic here from our Red Terran player. Behind this, Nerchio is still just building up back at home, just going to be droning, looking to piece this together. Important that we point out that this is an economic opener. If you remember last game, Spirit opened up with a 1-1-1 Cyclone push. Spirit was very aggressive on Golden Aura. Here, he's respecting his opponent a little bit more. He is going for something more economic, something more mid-game focused. So we're going to have a much cleaner, a much safer, more passive start to this game. To game number 2. As Reaper is going to be dipping on in. Let's dive into the main base, getting a scout off, making sure that there's no hidden Roach Warren, there's no additional gases. Just really safe and secure play here at his Spirit. He will lose the Reaper, but it was worth it just to confirm there was nothing weird going on. Speaking of, that is a fast lair. As soon as the Reaper goes down, bam, we throw down the lair, we throw down the second gas geyser. This is a 3-minute 40-ish lair timing, or 3-minute 45, very early on here. What could this be? Would you have a 3rd, 4th gas on the way? It looks like mutas. Looks like mutas, feels like mutas, is going to be mutas once again. Typically, if we wanted to go 2-base Hydra, we would have taken 1 less gas geyser. You don't need to be as intensive with it. So I'm feeling very similar play to the previous game. That is a fast Evo chamber though. Curious. I'm curious. As back at home, we do have our 3cc Banshee opener here. This would be beautiful against Roach-based play, but there is no Roach Warren. There it is, Pulsar and Carapace on the horizon here for Nerchio. Very similar build to game number 1, except this time we do have a faster lair, and we see why. As I mentioned, you don't take 4 gases like this quickly without a Spire in mind. So it is 2-ace muta, as we did mention. Also, what was I saying earlier that it looks and feels like a lair? Sorry, it looks and feels like a spire is what I meant to be saying. I may have misspoken. But yeah, Hydras would have been one less gas geysers, so 4 gases do lead into Mutaplay. And Muta's going to be on the way here for Nerchio. Again, it does feel like it's what he's most comfortable with at the moment, and what he is most confident in as well. But again, this is something that he's already whipped out once against Spirit, and this time he's going for something more economic. Again, the third base is getting up and running for Spirit. He's working on his 5-rack setup. Back in the main base, Banshees, they do arrive. They do get 4 drone kills already. Soon to be 6. At the same time, Hellions, they dive into the third base, but Nerchio is in position. Good hold position here with these Lings, or really good that he was able to keep them here back at home to defend. Was ready for a Hellion dive. Nerchio is keeping up, but the meticulous control out of Spirit is becoming a bit much. 9 workers go down in between the natural and the main. This is becoming much. And looking at the vision, did we see the Spire? We did. The Spire this time has been scouted, so this time turrets should be ready in time. In game number 1, it was more of a surprise, and as a result, Nerchio got a lot of damage done. This time, though, Spirit has more time to respond. More time to react. Hellions going to be rotating around. Banshee's coming in once again, getting another 2 drones. As the Mutas are moving out. Oh, these towers, it looks like Spirit may not have actually seen the Spire itself. His units may have, but he did not, because these turrets are late. They should have already been done by now. Nerchio, he still finds damage here, getting 5, 6 SCVs in the main, 7 even, 8. Oh my god. It's going to cost us 1 Muta, but 1 Muta for 9 SCVs, worth it here for Nerchio. Is worth it. So not a bad start here for Nerchio. Did lose a lot of workers earlier though. That's the problem. It isn't just 9 for 1. It didn't just lose 1 Muta. Winding it back here, looking at the units lost tab, we lost 11 drones. 11 drones went down to the Banshee harass. So these Mutas really just tried to even things up. And here comes the army of Spirit. And we invested so much into these Mutas. The Banelings are not ready. Banelings are being morphed in. We have 21 Banelings in production. That's a lot of Banelings. They're in production. But even when they finish, they're slow. Speed is a ways away. They're waddling on in. Good split here. Good spread out of Spirit. And he's snowballing out of control. We just cannot engage. This investment into Mutas was not good enough. Banelings are going to be going down. They will not touch these Marines. Again, the Mutas, they just evened up. They just stabilized the amount of economic damage that was dealt. The main army, though, is snowballing out of control. And the Ling Bane is suffering here. Because we rushed into Mutas, we didn't rush into Baneling speed. We didn't have a ground army. And this is the risk you take when you do go into a fast lair and into fast Mutas. And with that, we still on 4. The build has been punished. GG gets called, and Spirit will take the series 2-0. GG, well played. Really solid play out of Spirit. Again, showing why 2-base Muta is so risky of a build, and showing kind of the vulnerabilities of that build as well. To invest so heavily into those Mutas while also still taking economic damage back at home. Nerchio, he just needed those Mutas to achieve that much more because of that position. And as we mentioned, leading into this game, the rush distance by ground on hard lead is very short. So once you have some momentum, it does snowball out of control quite quickly. Didn't take long at all for Spirit to counterattack, and again, Nerchio was just not ready for it. GG, well played. Congratulations to Spirit. My condolences to Nerchio, but again, still great to see Nerchio returning to StarCraft, or returning to this event. This isn't Nerchio's return to competitive StarCraft. From my understanding, he only does rock up here for these regional events. Again, to be part of the scene, to be a part of the community, and to enjoy StarCraft. To enjoy it. GG. GG, well played. With that, we are now going to be getting ready for our next matchup. The final match of the group stage. !B in the chat if you guys want to have a look at the groups yourselves. As we are wrapping up, we have our qualified players here. We mentioned earlier that Geralt and Aristri had made it out of Group B. Meanwhile, Alazer and Mishu both make it out of Group A. Group D, Dana is eliminated first. Oh, my condolences to Dana. He gets 2-0'd by Bobby, 2-0'd by Fnatic, and we have Bobby versus Fnatic currently ongoing. Meanwhile, we have our next series. Nerchio, he's not out of the tournament yet. He is knocked down by Spirit, but that was the winner's match. Group C decider match is coming up after the break. We're going to be getting into Nerchio versus Trifax in a ZvZ. See you soon.